It's the one and only 5D transformations, and we're here today. We're going to talk about MBTI to kick off the week. And the comparison I wanted to do today is going to be a unique comparison. It's going to be the ENFP, and I'm going to compare the ENFP to the INFP because they both are very similar. But the ENFP and the INFP, what makes them different, right? And so just to keep it and just to get straight to the point, the ENFP leads with ideas. The INFP is going to more so, they're going to express their ideas, but they're not leading with ideas. They are looking for the right time to express their idea. Because a lot of their energy is channeled into their craft or their art or whatever it is that they're doing. Uh, they have introverted feeling as their first function, you know. So, with that being said, um, with introverted feeling as a first function, you're an idealist as well. You have a bunch of ideas, but the only difference is you can hone in and channel in your ideas and feelings into something. Um, and that's where that extroverted intuition as a second function is, they begin to get curious and ask ideas once they feel uh, convicted to go ahead and ask that idea. Whereas an ENFP is going to lead with that extroverted intuition. They're just going to lead with ideas. Now, what people don't understand is like it's not like ENFPs are just running around with stupid ideas and just um, just kind of operating off ideas. The first thing we got to understand is that ideas are based off of things that happen in reality. What people got to understand is all intuition is connected to sensing. So you can't have an intuition that isn't related to something that you've seen in the physical at some capacity. Creativity is taking what already exists and doing different things with it to create something new. But you're using pre-existing material to create something new. And that pre-existing material is the sensory, and that something new is what we can consider our intuition, the new ideas of what you can do with it, with these things that you're seeing. So ENFPs, they have a huge database with their introverted sensing as a fourth function, but they have introverted sensing, so they have a huge database of all this information. Now, one thing that's interesting about ENFPs and INFPs is that INFPs have even better memory than ENFPs. So INFPs have a really good ability to remember things. They have very good memory, and they use that to channel it when they connect it with their feeling, that introverted feeling that is really about emotional intelligence. It's about understanding how you feel. And by delving deeper and deeper into how you feel, it gives you insights into understanding how other people feel. This is what introverted feeling is all about. This is what empathy is all about. Empathy and sympathy are two different things. Extroverted feeling and the personality types that have extroverted feeling are more sympathetic. But your introverted feelers are more empathetic because they're feeling very deeply, and that's what helps them understand how other people feel. And they're a little bit more connected to the pain points. So you got to imagine when they're being creative and they're pulling back, first of all, they're tapped in with this emotion and they're pulling from the past, this vivid experience that made them feel a certain way. These feelings could be joy, or they can be on the spectrum of, from joy all the way to pain, right? It could be pain, it can be sadness, it could be sorrow, it could be excitement, it could be hope. All of these different emotions are connected with past experiences. And that's the world that INFPs live in. I mean, this is the reservoir of experiences and emotions, and they pull from that reservoir of experiences and emotions in order to create new ideas and new art. And because extroverted thinking is a fourth function, they have the capacity, they're very social, they can talk to people, they can share what they think. But what makes INFP special is because their extroverted thinking is fourth. A lot of the time, instead of having to talk, because ENFPs, as the more extroverted type, are going to be willing to be more social to explain their ideas. But an INFP would generally want to take those ideas and channel it into something. It might be art, it might be music, it might be, um, writing, film, whatever. But that's what makes INFP so creative. When you think of someone like Bob Marley, you know, and you look at the fact that he was able to channel so much pain, strife, experiences, he was able to channel that into a song. And you would hear the song, and that song would capture so much, but he's literally saying just the same words. But you can feel so much with the beat, the rhythm, the vibe. That's what INFPs can pull from. And to be quite frank, INFPs and ENFPs are both, I'd have to say, in the highest spectrum of creativity amongst all the personality types. I mean, they are absolutely brilliant. I think one thing with ENFPs that people don't understand about the brilliance of ENFPs is that they have extroverted intuition as a first function, but they have extroverted thinking as a third function. So that means they have the ability to objectively analyze the world and analyze a plethora of perspectives and data and information and be able to convert it into something that makes sense. You know, they're able to take and pull from this wide array of ideas, wide array of information, and be able to understand it and create an external logic about it. And so, you know, very few people have extroverted thinking and extroverted intuition combined. And I think that's what makes ENFPs very have the ability to have a large array of information. And now when we talk about INFPs, they have that same ability to collect a lot of information. But what I love, if I had to say the biggest difference between ENFPs and INFPs, I would just say number one, INFPs are very introverted. They have that introverted feeling first. So they're going to be much more to themselves and they block out people a little bit more. I think ENFPs try to maintain and balance out their friendship, their friendships and life and everything. They try to balance it out a little more because they do have extroverted intuition and extroverted thinking higher up. So they're constantly juggling and moving around. And you know, when it comes to people, whereas INFPs, they're really putting most of their energy into where they are. Now they can talk to people and do certain things like that, but they gotta. It takes. They're going to be the first ones before the ENFP to have to get back in and recharge. They need that internal time to recharge. And so a lot of INFPs are notorious for just going ghost on everybody, and then they pop up, and you're like, oh, and they're like, yep, I'm back. You know, it's not that I don't love you, it's not that I don't care about you, it's not that I don't like you. I just need time to myself, because that time to themselves is the time for them to organize and make sense out of their inner world. One thing you got to understand about for both of these types is when you have extroverted intuition as a top four function, it's almost like you're throwing a tornado into your experience. It's like you're constantly in this world. Extrovert intuition is constantly pulling ideas and moving them around. So, you know, I think it's very important for all ENFPs and INFPs to take the time to be grounded and to organize their thoughts. And they have introverted feeling second. So to bring you all into the world of introverted feeling, for those of you who don't have it, if you're not an ENFP or INFP, introverted feeling is all about how do I feel? And so a lot of people wonder, you know, if you have feeling as a second function, how are you making these judgments, right? So let's say you're an ENFP or INFP. You're collecting all of this information. Your extroverted intuition is picking up all this data. Your extroverted thinking is thinking about these different things objectively and it's saying, wow, look at all this information. Now, how do we judge? What is our brilliance, right? It's like, oh, well, where's the rationale? What is your logic? Well, we say this. How does this feel? How does this make me feel? How do I feel about this? Now, you might say, how are you going to bring feeling into practical matters? But feeling is connected to thoughts. Like, if someone tells you right now that the world's going to end in 2 hours and it's logically proven, you're going to feel some type of way about it, right? And based on how you feel, it's going to make you think of something. You might try to think of a solution. You might try to. So, what you have to understand is it's not that ENFPs and INFPs are going, oh, I'm gonna take all this data and make a judgment based on how I feel about it. Like the feeling is judging what's going on. No, no, no. They're just feeling a certain way about whatever's going on. And then that extroverted thinking serves as the beacon of understanding. Why do I feel that way? And by going to figure out why you feel that way, you then unlock all this new information. So you go, all right, I'm not knowing why do I feel that way? Oh, I feel that way because of this. Okay, let me study this. But what this is all pointing to is emotional intelligence. This is how you become emotionally intelligent because each feeling that you have, you're trying to figure out why. That's what life is like when you have introverted feeling in extroverted thinking. You feel something very deeply. Sometimes it's like this carnal feeling, but your extroverted thinking comes in and goes, what's the logic behind that feeling? So you're never just left feeling stuff. It's always trying to figure it out. But that's the biggest difference is, as well as I would say ENFP spend a lot more time trying to actively figure out why they feel the way they feel and come up with solutions, because that extroverted intuition, extroverted thinking is constantly trying to come up with solutions and creative ways to deal with the things that aren't right based on what's happened in the past, or things that have, or things that are unjust, or things that don't feel right. The INFP wants to do the same thing, but they're not going to have the same energy of trying to conversate and explain it to people. So it's going to be a different way that they go about explaining it, and that's where their art comes into it. And what I would say is introverted feelers can feel very deeply about certain things, even more so than ENFPs. I mean, when you have introverted feeling as a first function, you kind of have this super worldly understanding of the bigger picture, and why things are happening, because you can feel so deeply, you can feel at the core level of why things are. And that's why INFPs have such amazing insights, and they have such a certain kind of depth. And that's what really makes, anybody that has introverted feeling as a first function, especially, so the ISFPs, INFPs, you're gonna have a very artsy vibe. Like you can look like a mystic, because you're so connected to the emotional tone of the planet, and so that's what makes, INFPs very powerful. So my final thing I'll say is just that ENFPs you will find more so on the front end, communicating, pushing ideas forward, influencing people, spreading awareness. They're going to be more of your conversationalists, talking about subjects, explaining information on subjects, and they also delve into the arts. They're very artistic, so they will be creative as well. But you'll generally find them on the forefront, communicating with words more. INFPs, you will find them advocating, but they'll be advocating and expressing their art through either, especially with INFPs, through art, through expressing their ideas in a way that could be symbolic, right? They like to channel their art and their abilities into a field where people can feel where they're coming from. Whereas ENFPs will more so want you to understand from a communication level of what they're trying to express. INFPs want you to understand their art, you know, and then once again, you might find INFPs speaking their truth, communicating, and you might find ENFPs doing art. So they're very interchangeable in that regard, but one's going to be more on the front end communicating because they're extroverted, and the INFP is going to be more so that mystic, that artist, that person that is a little bit more behind the scenes, but their presence is felt. And they both types are very similar, and they're just beautiful types, man. I really think one thing that I love about both types as well is they're not trying to hurt anybody. I mean, most ENFPs and INFPs are very wonderful, nice people, and like they really do want the best for the world. I think the negative rap that they get is that they're these feelers that aren't very intelligent. What you'll find is introverted feeling provides a completely introverted feeling with extroverted thinking provides a completely different world of knowledge and information that's very deep, because a lot of the information that they're getting is vibrational information that's connected to how they feel, and there's a logic there. It's not just pure logic absent of how we feel. And so that's what makes them very self-aware, and because they're very self-aware, they help other people resonate and feel more comfortable in their own skin. So shout out to the ENFPs and the INFPs. And we're going to keep dropping videos on this MBTI. The MBTI course is officially out. Please make sure to get that. We talk about every personality type. We explain MBTI on a deep level. We go into some deep science on it, in terms of how it connects with the four elements. We talk about Carl Jung. We talk about each one of your gifts, and as well as your hidden power. So make sure to go get that course. And aside from that, I will see you all in the next video. It's 5D, man. Make sure to like, subscribe, spread the word, man. The more that we grow, the more I can contribute to the space and really drop some fire videos for y'all. So I'll see y'all in the next video.